Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Home and Finance Show. I'm Diana Rice Wilkerson, lender with Fairway Independent Mortgage. Joining me is my wonderful co-host.
And hello, I'm Janis Bradley with JB Real Estate Consultants, owner broker.
We are your seasoned, trusted advisors committed to personally navigating you through the home buying and home lending process. The show is designed to provide you with current and relevant information about different aspects of the home buying process, and that includes home buying, home selling, home refinancing, and so forth and so on. We want you to be knowledgeable when you're making decisions for you and your family. You can also hear us on Saturdays on Radio 1, 1310 AM, 92.7 and 95.1 FM. That said, if you're in the market to buy, build, or refinance, we'd love to represent you. You may reach us at the contact information below. Now on with the show, Ms. Janis Bradley. How are you, my friend?
You know, I'm super. I am so super. You know, we are so glad to be here and just sharing the information that we have been blessed to know about today.
Yes.
And you know, one of the things we always say is the fact that we want to provide you with current and credible information, you know. So in other words, this day might be current and credible, but tomorrow might be something else.
Change
but
everything.
We're trying to let you know everything as quickly as we do. So, you know, Diana, a lot of times when we're talking is you're doing the lending, you know, and I'm talking about the real estate and you're talking about, you know, showing you the money, and then I talk about showing you the house, you know, what have you. But a lot of times we don't get into the seller. So I'm gonna try to do some buyer's information also, but I've got some updates that I think kind of be of interest to a lot of us. So one of the things, listening audience, you may not be aware of, but as I said, I am a real estate professional. I am a member of the Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors. So what happens is that each month they give us information about what's happening into I would say the state. What I'm going to share with you right now is just going to be pretty much about the Marion County area. Now, I want you to listen real good because I think that this is kind of some exciting information. And when we say market update, like, okay.
Yes.
So we're talking about December of 2022. All right, December 22 and January 2023. So help me on that 2023 when I say it, you know, because it's still kind of funny how it comes out of my mouth.
So we're talking about 2 months.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Okay.
You know, it's the point of 2023.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So normally when we do these market updates, we're always talking about the median price going up. And it's been going up for the past year, as everyone really knows. But this is what the market is doing, showing you right now. December of 2022, the average sales price was around $230. Okay. Now we're talking about going into the next month of January 2023, and the average sales price seems to be around $217.
Okay.
So what does that say? That's almost 6% difference, you know, less, but it's not going up.
Right.
It's coming down.
Yes.
Not necessarily saying it's going to be coming down. We're just kind of sharing with you what the market has been doing. Now, a couple of other things. December of 2022, there was around 900. This is, again, in Marion County, there was around 900 homes that have sold and actually closed. So far in January, there's been about 600. So again, you know, little down. We're still dealing with probably some of the holiday markets, some of that nature, but just kind of showing you what, again, the market is doing. It has slowed down somewhat. But days on the market. Let's kind of talk about the days on the market. It's showing in December 2022, there were, if the homes on the market around 49. And when you're thinking about it, you're saying, well, holidays, so on and so forth. But actually, January 2023, houses on the market have been 56 days.
So just to make sure our listening audience is understanding, what does days on the market mean? Talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old.
Glad you asked that. So What that means is that from the time that you have listed the house, okay? So today happens to be, it happens to be February the 22nd, I believe. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, at 2023. The main thing is that we're listing that house today.
Okay.
Okay. So from the time you have listed the house until it actually sold, that means they actually days on the market until you have got an accepted offer.
Great.
Now that doesn't mean when you close an accepted offer, because now is in that pending phase, which means
Another
you have
bucket.
an accepted. Thank you for that. I like that other bucket. Right. So these numbers were not like this, as we know, for last year. Now, don't ask me what the last year. I said, now, Diana, I say, well, Paul, what happened last year? But we know what happened last year.
Right. You blinked and you were under contract.
So just a little housekeeping notes in regarding the sellers and, again, some of the buyers' information. You know, you might want to, I know people are still asking, they'll say, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Well, I'm going to say, it's probably both.
Yeah.
I have to say that. Reason I say that is because, unfortunately, the inventory is still low. And last year, the housing market, as we know, slowed down, a lot tremendously, mainly because of the interest rate. So again, though, that made an impact on the time frames for selling, but it's still a good time. One of the things that we really kind of also want to think about is the fact that for expectations, you're Mr. and Mrs. Seller, your expectations need to be very reasonable right now when we are listing your home. So we want to just definitely adjust and make sure you're going to list your house accordingly. And the reason that pricing that your home appropriately matters is for a couple of things. One thing, your price really kind of shares to your potential buyers, what you're saying about your house, so if you're too high, they're getting a little bit more knowledgeable now. So if you're asking prices, what it is really sending a message, to your potential buyers. So you don't want the risk of, turning the buyers away where they're looking at somebody else's house. So we know when that happens, what happens? That means your house has been on the market a little bit longer than possibly you would like to. I always remind my sellers, when they want to be at a certain price or when we're having that discussion, we still have to remember there's 3 reasons why a house doesn't sell. Do you know what I say, Diane? Do you know it by now?
Price, location, and condition.
You got it.
That's because I've been taught by the best, Janis Bradley. Yes. Yes.
So that is never going to go away. Price, condition, and location. So, and again, if it's been on the market for a little bit, you may have to lower the price, but you don't want to do that. If you priced it, accordingly, then it's going to go. So I kind of have to laugh because, a year or so ago, when I'm saying pricing it right or things of this nature right now, a year or so ago, it didn't matter where you priced it, or I was always tell Diana, if it's a house, no matter if it's a house or what it is, it's going to sell. So it just is that kind of day. They were selling in an hour, right?
Right.
Selling in an hour.
Sight unseen.
So the reason I'm sharing that with you is that the information I just kind of shared with you a little bit earlier was telling you how the homes are staying on the market a lot longer. So, but now the serious buyers are coming out pretty quickly. So price it right at the start, right at the start. Look at the comparables, go from there, and just be aware that the market is not, now these are your sellers I'm talking about, not like they were in 2022.
Janis, should the seller expect the realtor to make a recommendation in terms of what they would suggest in terms of pricing, or is this strictly a seller's decision?
It can go both ways. It absolutely can go both ways. We're there to obviously to help them, and show them the comparables. We're not looking at, in this day and age, we're not looking at 6 months. We still have to do very, very, very much current. Even when the market was hot, we couldn't look at anything even 4 months ago or 3 months ago. You had to look at what's current. So now that we know that the market is kind of changing, all we can do is just show them the facts, okay? Now, you're a seller, this is your home, and you can't put a price. You can't put a value on your home, and we know that. So there have been times, Diana, when the seller will say, well, I still want to be here. And if it's not just, just a figure that I've just think that would be hurting him, for the days that the house might be on the market. I just said, well, let's just see kind of like what happens.
Right.
Now, when we had the really bad days, years ago, sometimes we realtors would have to walk away, from the listing because it just was that kind of market and just wasn't going to happen. And thank you for asking that. Now, even though, what I want the sellers to understand and feel good about is that, we say 9 times out of 10, but I'm going to say pretty much 10 out of 10 is because of the way the appreciation that we had going on within the last couple of years. You're in good shape. So I'm going to say 10 out of 10. Hey, you've got some equity to work with. So you really might want to consider how that worked and just be glad. I had a seller where like I said, where he wanted to be, and I just said, because of what's happening, you are in a better position.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that made him really kind of understand, and he felt a little bit about it. So I know that, again, you may want to, you're saying seller, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? We've had somebody on a couple of weeks ago that kind of shared with us about new construction.
Right.
So don't think that is not going to be an option, because it really is. And we're finding that new construction is really, really even moving, picking up quite a bit. I have seen in the past where possibly a homeowner built from the very beginning. 9 times out of 10, they're going to do that again, and then there, of course, now those who are homeowners and have lived in their homes for a while, they know they want something completely different,
right.
So they've lived in their house long enough. They know their lifestyle now and how things are changed, and he or she wants, I need this, I need that. Don't let it have been not ever their current house have one sink in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They're going to probably ask for triple sinks, never mind double sinks. But anyway, so just talking a little bit about that. But then there are those, because if they've had a home on the market and is it sold kind of quickly, they're maybe not thinking, okay, I do not want to wait 6 months or so, or whatever time it takes. So they might want to consider, existing homes. And still, well, let's just back up too. I don't want to forget this when I am talking about, I think this is very important for new construction, but I'm telling you, when you are really dealing with your energy efficient situations, how it really affects your bill. It does. Now, I work from home, and I think about this often because I get something from the from the electric company, and they want to tell me how much I'm using more than my neighbors. And I say to myself, well, yeah, but I work at home, but probably so does everybody else. But I might have to look into something energy efficient. You know what I'm saying? But that means much. I mean, you told me I spent over $300 more a year than they did. But I'm not going to be cold if I can help it. But anyway, but I just wanted to talk about those energy efficient. And, people are kind of doing that now, too, if they're staying in their existing homes.
And, we can make adjustments, even on the mortgage side. If the property's energy efficient, it can let the underwriter bump up the ratios a little bit.
Diana, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, because your expenses overall are lower, because your utility expenses are lower. Yes.
Now, are you talking about the new construction part when you're being qualified?
It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
But new construction is where it's easy to document that it's energy efficient.
Okay.
Because you know what the builder is putting in the house.
Yes.
But even if a home's been renovated or something like that, if we know about it, especially under a manual underwriting process, that means the expense associated with the utilities is going to be less. And
you heard it here.
It could very well. Now, guys, just keeping it real, okay? We're not talking about any outrageous increases, but sometimes on the approval process, we just need like a 2 or 3, point hit in terms of reducing the debt ratio. So there is a chart that tells us how much we can allow for energy efficient properties. But yeah, that's how important energy efficient is, because it is known that overall your utility bills are going to be much more affordable.
Oh man, yay. Thank you, partner.
Yeah.
So again, there might be people who are looking for certain neighborhoods and just the character of the house. So we realize that you do have some options. So one thing to think about now, a lot of buyers, but as well as sellers, are still thinking about possibly not moving because they're waiting for the interest rates to get back to the 3 or 4. So we're just here to tell you that that's really possibly not going to happen. You know, we aren't the experts, but you know, you can see kind of what's happening. So don't wait, and just remember, appreciate the equity that you have.
Couple of comments.
So use it. Go right ahead, Diana.
Couple of comments about the interest rate. So guys, there are buy downs. So there are ways for you to reduce your interest rate. One's called a temporary buy down. The other's permanent. I won't go into the details now, but the permanent buy down for a fee, okay, you can actually reduce a rate like, say, that 6% to 4% and let that be permanent. It's going to cost you. But if you're selling the house because of this wonderful equity that you've got,
correct.
Part of what you want to factor in financing is buying down the interest rate, if at all possible. This is what's going to let you not wait for rates overall to come down to 4. Because we might be waiting a minute, guys, before they come down to 4 again. But I'm just wanting you to know it can be within your power to bring that interest rate down. Just something that you want to think about.
I love it. I'm going to certainly use that with my sellers for sure, and think when they're trying to relocate or do something different.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
So while we're talking about sellers, let's talk about the next steps, because we know that you sellers are out there. We're seeing an increase, you know, of homes being put on the market. So let's just, one of the things I kind of want to share with you, the listening audience, is that we talked about how anything that looked like a house sold last year. Well, this year is going to be a little bit different. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that simply because you're going to have to do a little bit more preparation this time, okay? You know,
so
I mean,
as is.
Well, it's not even, it's just the fact that sometimes, you know, again, no updates maybe.
Okay.
Maybe that needed painting. You know, some of the sellers did not do anything.
Right.
You know, so like I said, we are kind of dealing with a different day. So a little bit more preparation, because today's market actually and the housing actually has a different feel. So, like I said, there were more homes on the market last year, but you know, the inventory is still this year, but it's still low. So, let's just kind of talk about maybe some of the things you might want to do. This is always going to be the case, and that is curb appeal. Curb appeal will get you somewhere every single time. So paint the door, or some type of an inviting contrast color, or at least clean it real good. And the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, sometimes the sun if you don't have a storm door, it can really, really distort the color.
That's right.
You know, and it will. So, you know, let's do that. Let's take care of that with some paint. If you do have a storm door, let's get it cleaned, you know, put a wreath on your door, just kind of perk it up. Now, cobwebs. You have front porch. That front porch, you'd be surprised, have cobwebs. You need to sweep off your porch, or if you know, the steps, something of that nature. Now, you're saying to yourself, myself, what are you telling me? I'm telling you that most of us don't even go through a front door. We use the garage,
that is
okay?
True.
We
Yes.
we don't even know. And I can remember, for whatever reason, one time, even before I thought about selling my house, I looked and came up the front door for some reason. Maybe there was a package. I said, I have cobwebs. You know, I mean, look, they were here and there. Yeah, who knew? Who knew? So I'm just sharing that with you, just for you to kind of understand. Again, it might be too soon for flowers, you know, because, you know, spring is not here yet, but you know, there's some gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous artificial plants and things of this nature, just to kind of, you know, just spark it up again. So you just want to get ready for that first impression. And you just might want to think about some maybe low cost projects that you can tackle, whether it's faucets, new faucets, you know, possible painting. How about some decluttering, bright and cheery. So now let's talk about some of the furniture that some of us have in our house, okay? And you know, Diana, there are a lot of people still have those large sectionals, okay?
That's right.
So we've got to declutter. We've got to possibly make room when you come into the house, when the buyers are coming into the house, they're already, especially if there's any interest, they're already trying to put their furniture in the house, but they can't if yours is, you know, where they can't even get through the house. So sometimes it's moving just one piece, okay?
Yeah,
and you
right.
might have to put it in the garage or some storage area. You know, that may happen, and it does. But buyers need to see space, okay? So there's another thing, and your realtor can kind of help you with that. You know, when they walk in, and I'm one of those kind of people that I feel once I walk in the house, I just feel. So I can remember
get a vibe?
you know, but when I think we've got too much clutter, I'll share it with you. And I can remember years ago I was working with this couple, and she was, well, actually, they were VA, they were veterans, and they traveled all over. And she had the most beautiful furniture, you know, and you can get those great big cabinets, they call it something. I mean, they were huge. They take up a whole wall. And the constant complaints that I got from, you know, things that she bought wherever they stayed and traveled, she just, like I said, she had an accent on her, and she would say, "This is my furniture. They not buy my furniture." She
But it was distracting.
It was very distracting.
It was just,
you know?
it's taking away from what the seller's trying to show. Understandable.
Yeah, and it was just so funny, but it did nothing you could do about it. It took up the whole wall, but it was beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about this kitchen, okay? So whoever, you can't say she or he, because you know a lot of men cook right now. But whether this is your kitchen, men or women, whoever's doing the cooking, whether it's large or small, we've got to do something about your counter space, okay? You know, when a buyer, whoever again is walking in your house and whoever's doing the cooking, that's the first thing they're looking at in the kitchen, will be the counter space. So we've got to find a place for you, whether it's your canisters, whether it's your appliances. When I say appliances, I'm talking about the type of cooking methods that you use. There's air fryers that people have.
Yes.
There's rice cookers that people have. I was in a house last week and they had 2 or 3 air fryers. You think I'm kidding, but they didn't.
Okay.
2 rice cookers, and it was not the largest kitchen,
Wow.
you know. But my point of it is everybody's doing something different now of how they cook.
Exactly,
You know?
and the equipment they use.
But,
Yes.
you know, listen to your realtor. Do something, you know, with the your counter space, so he or she can say, okay, I can sell here. I can cook here. But I just had to say that, you know. And again, when you're showing, you know, you might have to put them in the pantry, you know, or underneath. That's what I tell my people.
Pantry's
you know?
nice.
Yeah, put them somewhere when you're having your showings. So. And again, we're in a market, though, right now, we're going to be in the market that, you know, buyers can just seem to be a little choosier, okay? And it makes sense that, you know, the buyers are going to zero in on the homes that are most appealing. By the way, I don't want to forget this, but when you are putting your house on the market, and hopefully you are calling me, please get that home inspection. You're going to be so glad that you did. So, Diana, let me ask you this. So share with me, what do you think homeowners, what are the top selling reasons why people are selling? What would be the top?
Well, one I would say would be to downsize.
Okay.
Because they're empty nesters.
Okay, I see that. Okay.
A second would be maybe to move closer to family.
Okay.
Especially those that have raised their kids and the kids went away to school and they stayed where they moved to, et cetera, where they went to school at. So I could see that being the case. A third reason is changing the neighborhood. Maybe they want to live in another area altogether. I don't know that I have any more than that.
You've done very well.
Well, thank you.
You did right. Changing the neighborhood. Maybe that the home is too small. Of course, it could be retirement. You know, we know that sometimes it's just time to retire, and you just don't. It doesn't make any difference. You just want out. You know, you just want out, definitely. And you know, it's really interesting when you kind of share the fact of being closer to loved ones. I just had this conversation with someone. I don't know what it was yesterday, but well, nationwide, they're finding that people are moving closer to their loved ones. You know, we saw a shift into the Midwest area, even if they didn't necessarily move into Indiana, but it seems like a lot of the families were trying to be closer, whether it's not in Indiana, but closer to family. I mean, and you're seeing that really happen so much, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, I know even when I was instructed, you know, with my family members, you know, how many miles I could possibly be away, you know, from them. So that is true. And again, you know, so just a structure in your household, just how things have changed. You know, it could be possibly someone, a mother-in-law moving in, or father-in-law, just older parents, you know, something of that nature. So there are definitely some reasons, you know, those are usually really the top reasons to sell. And I know people are, that's why I just made the comments of different kind of areas that might be a reason as far as where you're looking now, or new construction, because you have to maybe add on, you know.
Right.
I had a situation, in fact, I actually helping to someone in my family, you know, they were building a home, and right there in, I don't know how far we were in it, but the mother-in-law had gotten ill. And so it looked like that, you know, she was going to have to move in, and they had to actually change they had enough time to change the design, you know, so they could, you know, they could add on, and just worked out absolutely positively beautiful. But anyway, I'm not going to be able to have a chance, it looks like, to get into the buyers, but I was so glad to be able to talk about the sellers, you know, because the sellers count, and sellers, it's time for you to move. I know that those of you who've been thinking about it, come on, give me a call. I'm Janis Bradley with JB Real Estate Consultants. I would love to help you have that sold sign in your yard.
And Janis, that is such great information for the sellers, because they, in fact, they do have a lot of work to do. One thing I was noticing as you were going through that, it just seems like, and it's the same on the lending side, we do have to get into some maybe sensitive areas, particularly if you're going into someone's house where they've lived and you've said, hey, you've got to restructure or remove. But just know that our goal is to accomplish what your dream is. So we're going to tell it to you like it is, so that you are able to execute and accomplish what you want within the time frame that you desire. Thank you so much for being with us today.
And have a great day.
Bye-bye.